current contract expires. We appreciate the Commission's leadership in establishing an animal shelter in January of 2010 and for providing generous funding through June 30th. In addition, the Humane Society and ARC should be commended for building the shelter during the worst winter in memory. And ARC has been there every morning to clean the shelter and feed the animals. Without a doubt, the unwanted dogs and cats of Pocahontas County have benefited from the establishment of a county animal shelter. There is also no doubt that the County Commission's contract, arranged under difficult conditions, is expensive and not ideally structured. We know the county's revenues are down and that discretionary expenditures must be reduced next fiscal year. Pocahontas SPCA can help cut the shelter's operating costs, but only if several contract issues are resolved. Under the current contract, ARC subcontracts from SPCA to provide day-to-day care for animals housed at the shelter. The subcontract honors the costs and terms negotiated by the County Commission in March 2010 for ARC to provide both the facility and labor required for daily shelter operations. Accordingly, we passed through $6,200 per month to ARC based on $200 per day, $120 plus for labor plus $80 for overhead, assuming 31 days every month. ARC will receive $74,400 this year, for which there is no financial accountability to SPCA, the County Commission, or the public. The county also provided $5,000 to SPCA for veterinary expenses. Soon after the contract was awarded, it became clear that the $5,000 did not cover vet bills. The Commission, I'm just going to paraphrase this paragraph, the Commission later decided to match up to $7,500 to help with that. Taken together, the county's financial commitment to the Animal Welfare Services contract this fiscal year is $86,900. The county's bid requirements were specific in certain areas and silent in others. As a result, ARC may change the shelter space without consulting the county or Pocahontas SPCA. In addition, the contract has several anomalies that prevent SPCA from acting as prime contractor. Because the County Commission agreed to pay ARC $200 per day, regardless of actual cost for labor and expenses, SPCA has no real authority to manage the shelter and the people working there. Because the county did not specify hours of operation, ARC closes the shelter's doors at its discretion. Because the county pays ARC $120 per day for labor, SPCA cannot request logs of hours worked or determine how many hours are worked in a given week or month. Because the county pays ARC $80 per day for expenses, regardless of actual costs, ARC is not required to share cost information for lights, heat, insurance, animal food, supplies, or other expenses. Because the animal shelter was constructed without revising the lease, ARC believes they control the shelter facility and are not obliged to provide office space to SPCA to perform our duties under the contract. SPCA believes these problems can be resolved if two key issues are addressed regarding the contract structure. Both issues arise from the fact that when ARC's contract started in January 2010, the Commission implicitly assumed that ARC is entitled to any payments by the county for labor and supplies at the shelter. SPCA feels the county should consider 1. Specifying the parts of the building, grounds, and parking lot which constitute the animal shelter facility, and 2. Providing authority to a non-profit humane organization to hire, train, and supervise personnel working at the shelter. In fact, the county owns the ARC building and leases it to ARC for rent based on operating profits, which have been little to none. The county paid for the improvements required to convert an unused portion of the building into an animal shelter. ARC's lease does not anticipate use of the building as an animal shelter. The lease calls for an annual review, which did not occur in 2010. That would have provided an opportunity to clarify the portion of the property that is dedicated to shelter purposes. To remedy this situation, the County Commission should consider reviewing ARC's lease and exclude areas of the building, grounds, and parking lot needed for the animal shelter. The county would then contract for the management and operation of the county-owned animal shelter. If the County Commission provides the shelter facility, including utilities, heat, maintenance, and insurance, SPCA believes it can operate the shelter at significantly less cost to the county. As a charitable nonprofit, SPCA has several inherent advantages in reducing costs that are not available to ARC. For example, SPCA can hold fundraising events and seek donations. SPCA can apply for grants. We qualify to receive day report labor. In addition, we may qualify for part-time support through Workforce West Virginia. Most importantly, we can encourage volunteers to donate their time to help in the shelter by socializing animals, arranging rescues or adoptions, and performing administrative functions. Pocahontas SPCA believes that the county's contribution for labor at the shelter should be significantly less than $120 per day. In addition, if the county provides the facility and agrees to match funds donated for veterinary care, supplies, and food the county's daily cost for non-labor expenses can be reduced from $80 per day to approximately $40 per day. As a result, during upcoming budget meetings for fiscal year 2011-12, we're prepared to provide a cost proposal for less than $50,000, which would require Pocahontas SPCA to raise up to $15,000 from donations and grants. Representatives of Pocahontas SPCA are prepared to discuss this later at the March 1st meeting of the County Commission. We look forward to resolving these issues so we may prepare for a new contract in July. And this was copied to the Allegheny Recreation Center and the Humane Society as well. I would like to start with the lease. The idea that the news that there's to be an annual review of the lease is new to me. The lease was done before I came along. I don't know what power the commission has in an annual review of the lease.
Well, it's our building.
And
just to hit on that note, ARC's done it every year, had an annual review with the county commission.
Okay. Forgive me for not knowing.
Was there one last summer? I know it was on the agenda a couple times, but I believe it was canceled or taken off or not conducted. I'm not aware that there was a review.
I don't recall discussion specific to reviewing how the lease was going. I know that you've been here before, gentlemen, talking about your profit and loss kind of statements about it.
We've done that and also done a review when Rita was still here.
Okay.
I come in and done a review. John didn't make it, but I did myself.
So a question, my central concern is that we need a place to put the animals. And the question for the county commission is what control or authority do we have over the ARC building, given the lease that we have with Mr. Fitzgerald and Mr. Duncan? That's a big question. If we would have no authority to change the lease or to say structure or segment off certain portions of the building for animal control, as the letter from SPCA indicates they would like to see us to do. If we have no authority to do that, then we have no grounds to negotiate to change things with ARC. It's sort of an all or nothing kind of proposition. If we do have grounds, then I want to know this. I want to. Okay. Then I want to know what options we have. The fact of the money is that we could use more accountability, and that I don't know that you're going to find commission support for $86,400 or whatever the total was, $74,400 to you this year. So regardless of, for the money, regardless of if we're able to renegotiate lease terms or have to find some other place, we have to find a cheaper way to do it this fiscal year.
I believe we supplemented that lease last year, helped me, Martin, to include the grounds around it.
It's probably been 2 years
In the
now.
back.
So.
Yeah.
We talked about the use of the,
Putting some,
between the building and the river.
Martin, would you know, just by thumbing through this, where this annual review language would be?
it's in that, it's only 2 or 3 page lease, and it's in that
Okay.
part there. Okay.
Okay.
My feeling was that, my recollection of that, that since it's the commission's building and the lease was of a sort of experimental nature to see if we couldn't make use of the building to promote business and to make good use of it rather than just lay it fallow, that it was a very malleable kind of instrument and could be looked at but ultimately the commission has the say-so. It's the county's building.
Both parties by agreement may terminate this lease during the annual review. That's the first mention of.
And also I would just want to say that let's not misunderstand that we could also bring other people into the discussion. It always seems to be between the SPCA and ARC. There are other groups and individuals interested in animal welfare, and the ultimate solution and best solution may involve an amalgam